Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my second vendor market. I did a whole video on my first vendor market, and basically that covered how I signed up, because I know sometimes people are curious, like, how do you find these events? How do you sign up? How much did it cost me to be a part of the event? How I got my inventory. So if you're curious about all of that type of stuff, definitely go watch that one first. This video I'm going to be talking more about what kinds of things I did to change, or like, I guess do better this time. And also what, like, kind of prep that I did, because it was a little bit different than last time. I'll also go over how much I made in comparison to the last video, and a few other things like that. So if you're curious more about like getting started, like how to get, or like how to find out about markets and things like that, I definitely recommend you check out the other one first and then check this one out, or maybe even after this one, to find out more about, I guess, getting more into the thick of it, I guess. So anyways, I definitely want to first talk about some of the things that I did to get started and prep for this market. Okay, so one of the first things that I did to prep for this market is to log everything into Square. So one of the ladies at the event in the first market, she recommended to me that I do this because she said that it was free, and also that some people, they want to use their card and everything like that. They don't feel comfortable cash apping, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, whatever. So, which I did have all of that available, but some people just want to use their card. And so I looked into it, because at first I was like, I was skeptical if it was actually free, but it is free. And so I signed up for that. I logged all of my clothes that I was gonna sell, or was gonna, have up to be selling, into Square. And so I had to like, well, I didn't have to take pictures of everything, but it has the option for you to take photos of everything. So that was a long process of me taking photos of everything and then logging it into Square and then naming everything and then pricing everything out. So I did all of that first. And I should have clips of me doing that on the screen. And then after I did that, I purchased this time. I didn't have this last time. I purchased tags and bags and tags and bags. And I had to mark down all the prices on the tags so that I can tag them to the clothes. So after I put everything into Square, I went through Square and like wrote down all the prices and like stacked them kind of like in order of how they're listed in Square, so that can be easier for me to like tag the items, I guess. The only dilemma with this is that I did not get to, it took me so much longer to do this, because I did this the day before, and I thought that I did like, a couple hours before I go to sleep. I was like, oh, I'll just put everything in there and like, put the price tags on. Like, I just didn't think it was gonna take me that long, but it took me hours, and I was up super late the night before doing it. So I did not get to finish that, and we had to end up tagging everything at the event. And also we were late and there was a bunch of other stuff going on, but that's unfortunate. And so the first like 20 minutes of the event, we were putting the tags onto the clothes. So that's another thing that I did differently this time, was purchasing tags and like having tags on all the items so that people didn't have to like ask me. Well, before, how I did it last time is like I had each rack, or like each bin or whatever, was separately priced. So I had and I should have a picture on the screen of me showing how I had it last time, but I had two bins where I had $10 and $5, and then I had a rack that was 15, and then I had a rack that was, I think, 20 and 25, like split. So that's how I had it before, although I kind of wanted to price everything individually, so that's why I did it like that this time. And so yeah, that's kind of what I did differently as far as pricing goes and accepting payments and all of that this time around. Okay, so another thing that I did differently this time around is making my own reels, or my own reel and flyer to advertise the event. So last time I didn't advertise at all, besides texting a handful of my friends and inviting them. I didn't say anything, or I also reposted like the stuff that the event, like, I don't know if you guys can hear my stomach, but it's growling. What basically the stuff that the event posted to advertise, I reposted that to my stories on Instagram, but that's all I really did. I didn't do my own branding, I guess, and marketing to like get people to come for my own audience. So this time I made a reel, and with that reel, I had just kind of a couple examples of some of the things that I thought would be kind of, maybe some of the best things that maybe people would want to see. Not necessarily the best things. I just kind of picked up a couple of things and just like at random, and put those in a reel so that people can see a little bit of my inventory, very small amount of my inventory. And I also created a flyer that I posted in my community page of my Instagram, which your community page is supposed to be like your most loyal followers that like want to keep up with you. So I did that. I sent it out on my email list as well, the same flyer, and I sent the flyer to my friends, like the same handful of friends that I sent last time, and a few other friends that like maybe aren't my super close friends, but other like friends and acquaintances and stuff like that. And then I also posted on my Instagram stories, which also gets posted to my Facebook stories. So I did a little bit more marketing. I posted that reel on YouTube Reels. You might have seen it here, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and on Instagram Reels. So yeah, I posted that in multiple places as well. So that's a little bit. Those are a couple of different things that I did, just to put myself out there a little bit more and let people know that I was even going to be at the event. And I think that did help me a little bit. I don't necessarily I had one friend out of the people that I invited come to the event, like just to support me and say hello and everything like that. But although like no one else that I know or like followers of mine or people in my circle came besides that one person, I will say that more people knew about the event and were like asking questions about it. Like I had people asking me like if there was going to be other ones in the future so that they could come to a future one. Maybe they weren't able to come this time, or liking, interacting at least with the content. And so that was better than nothing. So I feel like that is still helpful. Even if people didn't come out this time, maybe they'll come to the next one. So yeah, I definitely recommend that you make your own marketing materials. Of course, excuse me, of course, you can also repost and repurpose the stuff that the market, event people that they post, and like repost those things to your own page. But I think that it's, valuable to make your own promotional marketing materials for people to come to your event. And also, if you do markets often, another thing that I know people do sometimes is make a highlight on their Instagram stories like that says like upcoming markets, and it has like all the information of different markets that they'll be at coming up or soon. Okay, so another little thing that I did, I had a tent this time. I didn't have a tent last time. I talked more about that and why and how that went for me last time. But this time I did have a tent that I was borrowing, and I also kind of changed my setup. Well, I didn't change it up that much. The tent was on a different side than it was before, and I had more clothes like displayed on the table than I did last time. And what else? Oh, I also had a gumball machine, which brought like at least 3 to 5 little kids to my table, wanting to have gum. One embarrassing thing that happened is that my gumball machine is like older, and also I just don't use it all the time. So I like had some technical difficulties with it. Like the coin went in, but like the gum wasn't coming out. So I had to like fix that, and but the kid got their gum. And yeah, different things like that. But it did attract more leads because this is like a family type event. So it did attract more children to my table, and in turn, like, if there was some kids just came up by themselves, with their quarter or whatever, but if they're with their parents, whatever, they might stop and look at some of the clothes that I'm selling as well. So I definitely recommend that you bring something like that. You can also put other things in it like Skittles. I got a big thing of Skittles because I wasn't thinking about the fact that I had gumballs, so now I have both. So when I'm run out, I can refill with Skittles. But you can also hand out things like lemonade. I think most of the time like those type of things are okay. You can check with your market coordinator just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure like things like that are okay, like bringing free water bottles or like a free cup of lemonade, as long as you're not selling it, like you're giving it out for free. Now the gumball machine is different because you are selling the gum technically, but the market organizers didn't say anything about that, and I didn't ask about it, but I didn't think it would be a problem. But if you're giving out things like free water, like if it's a hot outdoor market, or free lemonade, that's something that will entice people to come to your table, whether that be young people who, and you can, one thing that I was thinking about doing is like freeze pops, like free freeze pops, just because I feel like adults and kids like freeze pops, and in the summertime it's just like a nice little snack that you can give out, and that can attract people to your tent. Even if they aren't necessarily buying anything, they still might take a look at stuff, or ask questions about your business, maybe look at you online, whatever that may be. So I definitely encourage you to do that. And so let me just put in the clip now of me showing you guys my tent setup and how everything looked this time around at the market. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a booth tour. Right here, I have my mirror. I wrote my ad on it. You can see. And then I have some purses here. I have a couple of men's things, and then a bunch of women's pants there on this rack. And then I have my changing room right here. I put a little rug on the inside. And then this is my table. I brought my gumball machine this time, and also some bracelets that I made, and my $5 bin, my $10 bin, and then I have this rack right here with the rest of my women's stuff. So yeah. Oh, and I put like little green like plant stuff up here for vibes. So I thought it would be cute. So yeah, that's my neighbor. He's selling sauces. And then over here I have some more vendors. You can see the space. And then have a food vendor over there. So yeah, just getting started. So we'll see how it goes. You can see that I changed up the setup just a little bit. I had the tent on the opposite side, more clothes on the table, etc. If you guys are interested in seeing, I had a photo on the screen of how my setup looked last time, but if you want to see like a video pan through of my setup from last time, you can watch the last video, or the other market video where it says like, my first vendor market experience. So without further ado, I'm sure maybe some of you guys are curious how much money I made, especially if you guys were here for the last video and you guys are curious how much money I made during this time around selling items. So I will say, well, here's a couple of things I'll say beforehand. I had a lot more people come to my, Okay, that's a stretch. I had more people. I was gonna say I had a lot more people come to my like tent or my booth and like look at stuff. That's not true. I had this pretty much the same amount of people come, but I had people come and like stay a little bit longer than they did before. I mentioned before about the tent and it being hot, and so people, you know, probably didn't want to stand in the heat for as long. And so this time around, people stayed and like lingered, looked around more than they did before. But I had pretty much the same foot traffic as I did last time. I'll also say that I mentioned before that the foot traffic wasn't very heavy, and this time around it was the same. It wasn't very packed, like, you know, it wasn't a bunch of people at this event. There again were families, like people with their kids, a couple of people that were like, you know, I guess millennial Gen Z age, like couples or like, you know, coming with their friends, but majority of the people were coming a little bit older with kids, or maybe like 50, 60 plus crowd. So same as last time, and same foot traffic and all of that. So with that being, you know, kept in mind, and same, it was very hot as well. Keep all of that in mind as I'm telling you, I guess like the difference. So without further ado, I I made a whopping $7.25. I sold so you guys know that I sell clothes. I also sell handmade bracelets. I've shown them before, but here, I'll show you guys one really quick. I sell handmade bracelets, like just little beaded bracelets like this, and I sold I think 4 bracelets, something like that. I sell them for $2 each, or I sell them 3 for $5. So I had my friend who came by my table to come support. He bought 3 for $5, and then I had one extra person, the little kids that came over actually that were looking at the gum. And also she was looking at clothes and stuff like that. She was interested, but we didn't have any like, you know, children's clothes. But she bought a bracelet and at $2. So that brought me to $7. And then I had someone buy some gum. And so that brought me to $7.25. So that is what I sold at this event. I am signed up for 2 more markets. I signed up for like basically their summer series, which was July, August, September. So this was July's recap. I will also do a recap for August and September. If you guys are interested, maybe I'll do one together, like August and September together. Depending on how much changes or like what's going on, maybe I'll do 2 separate ones. We'll see. But that is what happened with this event. So I see it as, you know, improvement. I made a little bit more than I did last time. This is spoilers if you didn't watch the last video. But yeah, so I don't necessarily know if me changing like my setup or having a tent, you know, change anything for me, because like I said, I had a tent this time. I had price tags on things, so people can, you know, look at price tags of each. Well, I guess I had prices set up for the other ones before. You know, you guys see, like, I guess the trend of like everything was pretty much the same. I definitely was saying before that I thought maybe the tent was part of why I didn't make that much money, but I don't necessarily feel that way anymore. And Cameron was reassuring me, my boyfriend Cameron was reassuring me last time that he didn't think the tent had anything to do with it. It was just very low foot traffic. It wasn't a lot of people. And so, you know, the probability of like how many people versus how many people that attend the event and see your stuff versus the people that actually decide to buy, you know, that probability is very fine when it comes to, you know, just not being a lot of people to sell to. So with that being said, I definitely recommend also before I close that you have something small, like, you know, these little bracelets, or, you know, somebody who's maybe not ready to make a big purchase, but like they see you have like some little small offering, or like a $5 bin if you're doing clothing, is a good way, I think, to get someone to make a purchase if they you know, are still skeptical, or maybe they're not really looking to shop and they just want to pick up a couple little things. that's something that I would recommend. But yeah, I hope that this video was helpful to you guys. I hope that you know, the insight that you've gotten from me showing you what happened during my first market versus my second market is helpful, and also encouraging to you. Like, if you had your first market or second market and didn't really make a lot of money and things didn't go as well, or if maybe there weren't that many people, you know, those types of things are out of your control. And so I would encourage you to keep trying. Again, like I said, I'm going to the same market these next 2 times. So one thing that I would do is probably try out a different market, just seeing that, you know, the foot traffic doesn't seem to be very busy, and like all of that type of thing, the demographic of like who maybe not may not be interested in the things that I'm selling. So keep that in mind when you're picking out which market that you want to be a part of and that you want to participate in. So those are some things, some tips that I would give to you guys, or maybe some things that I would, you know, keep in mind for me doing future markets. But again, I hope that this helps you in some way. If it did, definitely leave this video a thumbs up, a like. Definitely subscribe if you guys are enjoying this type of content. I also make fashion content. Fashion related content is like kind of the core of my channel, and I also make vlogs as well, and share things like this that have to do with my business and all of that. So if you guys are interested in that type of content, definitely subscribe and join our little fashion family here on YouTube. And then all of my information to subscribe, follow, all of that, my newsletter, my social media platforms are all always in the description. So if you're interested in keeping up with me in any other way, definitely check out the description box to see all of that. If you want to see my Depop, to see some of the things that I'm selling, and you aren't, you know, in my local area and you want to buy something, my Depop's down there as well. So hope that you guys enjoyed this video for like the 1400th time that I've just said that. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.